take a comfortable seated position, or you can lay on your back if you want, whatever you prefer. And then if you're ready, close your eyes and just start to check in with yourself. Settling into your seat and into your breath, seeing what's there on the surface for you today. What boxes are you hoping to check off from taking today's class? So my ideas for today's class involve a lot of stretchy leg poses to get to Hanumanasana, which is splits. So we'll see where that takes us, besides hamstring stretching. Start to deepen your breath a little bit now, if you're ready. Taking a little longer time to inhale and exhale. You might even find the pause between your inhale and exhale where you can't really inhale or exhale anymore. And if you like to breathe with Ujjayi Pranayama, just place a slight closure, toning in your vocal cords so that as you inhale and exhale, your breath begins to make a sound. And that sound primarily comes from your throat, not your nose. And if that style of breathing doesn't really suit you, just deep inhales and exhales through your nose without that closure is fine. Without toning your vocal cords, that's fine. Start to really notice your seat. Notice if you're sitting more heavily in one sitting bone than the other. Notice if you're leaning more forward towards your pubic bone or back towards your tailbone. And after you notice that, see if you can start to balance out your weight between those 4 points. Sit up tall from there, reaching up through the crown of your head. Little tiny tuck of your chin just to lengthen the back of your neck. You start to soften and relax the muscles between your eyebrows and the muscles of your jaw. Let your lips be soft and relaxed. Undo any tension at the corners of your eyes. And let your scalp relax. Again, just balancing evenly between your 2 sitting bones and your pubic bone and your tailbone as you breathe deeply. If you'd like to set an intention for today's class, you can start to bring that in now that you know we're going towards split pose, the ways in which you will take care of yourself and embrace the journey. No matter how far you get. And then you can leave your hands where they are or bring them together in front of your heart. So Hanuman was this great giver. He was a hero. He was a devoted servant, a devoted friend. So if there's somebody like that in your life that you want to think about as you do practice, or maybe that person is yourself, just add that layer in now. And let's sing the sound of Om. Take a deep inhale. Start to blink open your eyes. If you're sitting on props, you can move them to the top of your mat and take child's pose at the end of your mat, please. Stretch out, take up some space. You can take your knees pretty far apart. And then walk your fingertips a little further forward. So stretch your arms out in front of you. Walk your hands forward until your butt starts to come forward because you've crawled your hands so far forward. Then press your fingertips and your thumbs down and push your butt back towards your heels so your fingers have to sort of drag along the floor. And you'll start to feel the stretch more deeply now in your shoulders. Breathe. And take another long, slow breath. Stay low, walk your hands over to the right. And breathing deeply here. Take another long, slow breath. Now staying low, go to the left. Same stretch, just breathing now deeply into the right side of your ribs, wherever you're feeling the stretch. And return to child's pose. Take a deep inhale and exhale. Next time you inhale, come up to your hands and knees, but you're going to keep your legs pretty much like they are. Let your belly come down a bit, lift your heart, look up. So that'll be our inhale. Your feet will kind of come apart a bit. And then as you exhale, lift from your belly, push back to child's pose. And we're just going to go back and forth. Inhale, coming forward when you're ready. Little bit of a sag in your waist. Look up. Exhale, push back. Pull back through your navel as you bring your hips back to your heels. And then keep going. Inhaling forward. And exhaling back. Just to your own breath. Feeling and noticing your own body. Just wake up our hips a little bit here in a nice gentle way. Feel what's going on in your lower back today as you move in and out of these positions. Next time you inhale, come up to hands and knees. Stay there, lift your heart, look up, take a full breath. Your feet might come apart, that's okay. And then as you exhale, you're just gonna come back with your hips back so that you can bring your knees underneath your hips. Take your right leg out to the right and bring your foot to the floor. And at first you'll walk your hands forward and just do a big stretch for your right inner thigh. It's almost like puppy dog pose, or it is basically puppy dog pose, but with your leg out to the side, if you're familiar with that. Yeah, kind of like downward facing dog in the upper arms. Yeah. Breathe deep. And one more slow breath. Keep your legs as they are. Walk your hands underneath your shoulders and then stand up onto your knee. Put your right hand on your right thigh. Inhale, reach your left arm up, stretch up. And then exhale, side bend to the right. Stretching, turn that underneath side of your chest more forward. Take another big breath there. Okay, you're gonna lift the bottom hand up first. Hold. And then squeeze the left side of your waist to come up and all the way over to the side. Bring your hand down. So now you are stretching the opposite side of your ribs. Push your pelvis forward a little bit and
then stretch. Maybe even turn your chest and look up. Feel like you've got the range there. If your neck feels upset about this at all, just look down. One more breath. Okay, put your top hand, right hand on your right hip, and then come up to the fingertips of your left hand. Good, hold there. You're gonna lift your left hand up, reach it forward away from you. Now reach your right arm. Good, take another breath. And now come back up to upright, back down. Switch legs. Left leg out to the side first in that puppy dog stretch. Breathe nice, slow, deep breaths. So we'll do things to stretch our inner thighs, and then we'll also do things to engage our inner thighs and just sort of play back and forth with this to get us closer to Hanuman. Hanuman is notoriously freaky pose for most people. So get our inner thighs sort of used to the idea of stretching apart in a number of different directions. One more breath. Hands underneath your shoulders, press up, and then stand up. Left side stretch first, stretch over to the left. You might try to turn that underneath of your chest more forward and up, and breathe, look up. Notice where you're stretching, feel all the things. Okay, nice and slow to come up. You're gonna turn that bottom hand up first, lift, stay to the side. Yeah, and now squeeze your right side to come all the way up and over to the right, land. Quadriceps gate pose has two positions, that first position and this one. So you can, even like we did on the other side, it's sort of like you can twist your chest more up and just receive the stretch a little bit more differently. If it hurts your neck, look down. Breathe in long, slow breaths. One final breath here. And come up onto your fingertips. Good, engage your belly a little bit here. Now bring your left hand to your hip. This will help for a sec. Reach your right arm up and reach forward. Now reach your left arm over. There's the weight. And now squeeze the left side to come up. We're going to come forward again, back to that starting position. Actually, back to hands and knees. Really good. Okay, some circles with your spine. So you're going to drop, keep your elbows straight and your knees where they are. Drop your chest toward the ground. So you'll feel your shoulder blades come together. Then take your chest over to the right and lift up, creating like sort of a half circle as you circle to the left and drop back down. So the hardest part is going to be to keep your elbows fairly straight. So it's just our chest moving. You really have to force all the movement to come from your spine, your belly. And just see what's there for you. Feel what's happening in your shoulders. You can drop your head as you do it or keep your head lifted. Definitely two different sensations there. And then let's go in the opposite direction as well. Okay, a couple more circles. All right. Come to sort of like a flat back, as flat as you can create, and then step your right foot forward. If you have sensitive knees, you might grab a blanket for your left knee, fingertips on the floor. It's going to start like this with our hands down. So as you inhale, you're going to let your hips come down, sort of like drop all the way down. You're feeling that back inner thigh stretch. You're going to lift your heart up and look up. So you're barely touching the floor most likely if you have short arms. Like me. Exhale. You're gonna bring your hips back, lift your right toes. Your leg might not come straight, that's okay. And you're just gonna go back your own breath. Inhaling forward, lift your heart, look up, do a little back bend, and then exhale back. My back toes are not curled under, and that's gonna be up to you. Whatever you are doing, just make sure to do it on the other side. So a couple times, a couple of these like this. And just feel the floor underneath your hands. Notice how you use the floor. Not judging it, just noticing it. Because we're going to stop using the floor. So you're going to inhale, come up, and come all the way up with your chest. Put your hands on your hips. And then as you exhale, you're going to bring your hips back, lift your toes, and fold forward, no hands. So you might not come down as low. And then once again, inhale back to low lunge. This is Untitled, this mother of the monkey pose. It's like the prep pose for Hanuman. Good. Keep going. Try not to fall. If you do fall, it's okay. I forgive you. Did not fail class today. Really squeezing in from the sitting bone. So if you can bring your right sitting bone in toward that left inner thigh in towards your right sitting bone. Yeah, just like a little bit more control with your hips. Okay, one more thing here. This time, do tuck your back toes under. All right. This is going to be done from upright, now that I let you put your hands down. And you're going to start out really sinking down. Your butt, pelvis is moving down toward the ground. So you're going to push your front heel down and your back knee down and squeeze them towards each other to lift your hips up. And then you're going to let yourself relax. Okay, a couple times squeeze to lift and then relax. All right, keep going. Just breathing normally as you do it. You can't really do it wrong. Just the idea of using our sort of deep core muscles to move ourselves. Okay, one more time. Sorry, my knee is killing me. Okay, once you come back up, keep your back toes curled under. Final major moment here. Push down into your feet to lift up. Yeah, we're coming off that knee. It's a lot. Good. Bring your hands down. Step back to downward facing dog. Awesome. Now lift your right leg up behind you. Bend your knee, open your hip. Stretch. So push your left thigh bone straight back and stretch your right foot back behind you more. Yeah. Yeah, straighten your leg if you want. It feels good. There's a major difference there you can feel. Good, one last breath. Let your shoulders just do whatever they naturally want to do. Don't try to keep them straight. Now straighten out your shoulders. Bring your right hip down. Come into plank pose, inhale. Good, and then exhale, lower all the way down. Inhale for Cobra pose. Do a little quick back bend, and then exhale, lift from your belly, come to hands and knees. Sweaty belly marks. Okay, step your left foot forward. Love it. Very neat. Okay, so start with your hands on the floor, runner's lunges. We're going to go back and forth. You start out. Remember to place either your back toes, toenails down or curled under, depending on what you did on the other side. Okay, just move through this. Don't even think about what's coming next. Just allow for the journey. So I'm just seeing what's there a couple more times. Okay. So we're going to come up a level. So once your knee is over your ankle again in the front there, just go ahead and start to stand up. Whew. Hands on hips. We'll take a deep inhale here with your hips sort of down. Yeah, and then exhale, lift your hips, untuck your toes, fold a little bit, and then keep going back and forth. Inhaling and exhaling. So one of our legs will be in flexion when we try to do splits, and one will be in extension. The tendency will be for the back foot toes to want to turn out to the side because it's way easier to do the splits like that. Cheerleader splits. Yeah. Okay, almost done with these guys. Okay, here we go. We're gonna drop down, and we won't even put our hands on the floor this time. So let your hips sink. Notice how much they do come down. This is a really good thing to do in all of our standing poses, but practicing the front heel pushing down, back knee pushing down to lift our pelvis. Yep, and then let it relax again. So we need to be able to do both, right? We need to be able to tone and engage our muscles, but we also need to let them relax sometimes. Especially our pelvic floor muscles. Right? Keep going, just concentrating on the movement, breathing. Okay, final one here. You're gonna let your hips sink down, hands on the floor. Somewhere between those two things to stand up. So back toes curl under, lift your pelvis, and then step back to downward facing dog. Lift your left leg up behind you. Go ahead and do that hip flexor stretch. Bend your left knee, and take that left foot over to the right. Really push straight back through your right thigh bone. Look underneath your left armpit. Your shoulders are gonna be not level, your hips aren't level. Just let it happen. Get a way better stretch like that. Take another deep breath. And slowly start to even out your shoulders, even out your hips. Step your left foot down. On your next inhale, bring yourself forward to plank. Exhale, lower to the ground. Inhale, Cobra pose. Exhale, downward facing dog. Breathe deeply here. Take another long, slow breath. Inhale, bend your knees and forward. Exhale, hop or step forward. Feet hip distance apart. Inhale, lift your chest, look straight ahead. Exhale, fold over your legs. Inhale, reach out and up as you stand tall. Bring your palms together overhead, look up. And exhale, bring your arms to your sides. Bring your hands to your hips. Take your feet together. Okay, just do this the best you can. Before we start, notice where your tailbone is. You're gonna kind of tuck your toe a little bit, just a tiny bit. Lift your pubic bone up is another way to say that. And then bend your knees slightly as best you can. You're gonna lift your right leg straight up in front of you. It might not come very far. We're gonna hold there. Try to stand up straight. Okay. So you're gonna take that right leg now straight back behind you, but as you go, don't bend your knee, hover your foot just above the floor. Start to lean forward so we feel like we're lifting our leg higher. Yeah. Head in line with your hips, press your left thigh bone straight back. Now bend your left knee and slowly bring your right foot to the floor. So you end up in high lunge. Reach your arms up. Front knee over your ankle, back heel high. So inhale. And then exhale, bend your back knee just a little bit. Inhale to straighten. Exhale, bend. Now remember the feeling of keeping your hips lifted instead of all that weight sagging down. So you want to have sort of the medium ground between really engaging your inner thighs and relaxing them a bit. Front knee bends and unbends a little bit, but mostly the back leg moving. So feel this. Try to bend and unbend your back knee from your inner thigh muscles a little bit more. Just the last two. If you start shaking, good job. Okay, now keep your back leg straight. Bend and unbend your front leg. Promise this slow torture will not last forever. If your shoulders get tired, your arms get tired of being up, you can always put your hands on your hips. So on this side, this leg, try to bend and unbend your knee, especially unbend your knee, coming from your heel, so pushing down strongly with your heel. Feel how much your butt engages. Okay, almost done. Straighten that front leg, turn your back heel to the ground, reach your arms out to the side. So back foot is diagonal to the back of your mat, front toes are facing straight ahead, yep. Getting ready for triangle pose. If you wanted a block for triangle, okay, take a deep inhale here. Exhale, side bend to the left. Either bring your left hand to your shin or the floor on the outside of your leg, and then turn your chest open. Reach straight up through your right fingertips. Turn your head and look up at your thumb if you can. See if you can bring a little more space, a little more distance between your left hip, your left armpit. So lengthening the underside waist, draw your low ribs in. Head in line with your butt. Last breath. Okay, one more pose. Turn your head down. Bring both of your fingertips to the floor. Hop your back foot in about 1.5 feet. And then turn your back toes in deeply for pyramid pose. So your right big toe should be facing the right corner of your mat. From here, inhale, lift your chest, lift up to halfway up, look forward. And then squeeze that left outer hip straight back as you exhale, fold over your left leg. Huge hamstring stretch here. Breathing deeply. Good, another long, slow breath. Okay, bend your left knee, place both of your hands on the floor, step back to down dog and do that three-legged dog variation with your left leg up, left knee bent, opening your hip. Scorpion dog, this is sometimes called. That's kind of a fun one. Okay, another deep breath. Bring your left hip down, right shoulder up, left foot to the floor. Inhale, plank. Exhale, lower to the ground. Inhale, cobra. Exhale, dog. Inhale, bend your knees, look forward. Exhale, hop or step forward. Inhale, lift halfway up. Exhale, fold over your legs, Uttanasana. Inhale, reach out and up as you stand. Palms together overhead. Exhale, bring your arms to your sides, stand up tall. Big breath. Inhale, reach up, look up. Exhale, look straight ahead, bring your hands to your hips. Bend both knees slightly. On your next inhale, lift your left leg straight up. Just lift it up as high as you can. We'll pause here, breathing. Squeeze your sitting bones towards each other a little bit there. Okay, and then try to keep your left leg straight. Don't bend your knee as you pass the floor. Coming all the way back to Bit of a warrior three variation here, hands on hips. Pull your right outer hip straight back. Lift from your inner hamstrings on that left leg. Slowly start to bend your right knee, stepping back into high lunge. Really made you do a lot of things on one side, I'm sorry. I'm just realizing it now. Okay, reach your arms up. Take a deep inhale. And then exhale, bend your back knee. And then keep going. Inhale to straighten, exhale to bend. And like I said, just notice where you're bending from and what you're using to bend and unbend your leg. You might be pushing down through the floor. You can think about using your inner thigh muscles to bend and bend your knee a little bit. You might start shaking. Just means your muscles are working really hard for you, which is what we're trying for. Okay. One more time, bend your knee. Straighten your leg. Now try to keep that leg straight, heel lifted. We'll start doing the front leg. So on this one, we're thinking more about pushing from our heel. Try to get the hamstring muscles to come online a little better. Breathing as you go. Soft face. Almost done. Good, last time. And keep your legs straight, turn your back heel down. Getting ready for Trikonasana on the right. Reach your arms out to the side. Take a deep inhale, back foot parallel to the back of your mat. Exhale, side bend to the right. Either hand on shin or hand to the outside of your leg on the floor. Fingertips on the floor of the block. Look up, breathe. And then just notice if you're doing a back bend. Like notice if you're pushing your low ribs out really far. And instead, try to pull them in. The front inner thigh can spin up toward the ceiling slightly more. Back heel pushes down firmly. And unfortunately, a million things to do in every single pose. Head in line with your butt. Chin tucked slightly. Take another full breath here in Trikonasana. Now turn your head, look down. Bring both hands to the floor or blocks if you got them. Hop your back foot in about a foot and a half. Turn your back toes in. So you really significantly shorten your stance. And then pull that right outer hip straight back. We're going to come to the halfway position. Inhale, lift halfway up, try to lengthen your spine. This will give you more space to take that right hip back. And then exhale, fold over your legs. Keep your back leg nice and straight, strong. Breathing deeply here. One last breath. Okay. Inhale, lift up to halfway, bend your front knee. Exhale, step back to downward facing dog. This time, lift your right leg up behind you, bend your right knee, open your hip. Holding here, go underneath your right armpit and stretch. Stretchy stretch pose. So see if you can notice the stretch at the front of your hip. That's really important for what we're trying to achieve. Feel that, and then maybe the front of your thigh. Good, last breath. Bring your right hip down, lift your left shoulder. Step your right foot down. Inhale, come forward plank. Gotta get our push-ups in. Exhale, lower all the way down to the ground. Inhale for a Cobra. And then exhale, down dog. Just for a breath here. Inhale. Exhale, hop or step forward. Inhale, lift halfway up. Exhale, forward bend. Inhale, reach out and up as you stand. Exhale, bring your arms to your sides. Inhale, reach back up. Exhale, fold. Inhale, lift halfway. Exhale, hop or step back, lower down to the ground. Inhale, Cobra. Exhale, down dog. Inhale, lift your right leg up behind you. Exhale, step your right foot forward. Inhale, lift up to high lunge, reach up. Exhale, warrior two, spin your back heel down. Inhale, reverse warrior, keep your front knee bent. Exhale, straighten your front leg, triangle. Good, inhale here, stretch your arms apart. Exhale, turn your chest, look toward the floor, both hands down. Good, inhale, look forward, bend your front knee. Exhale, step your back foot forward so we end up in Ashistasana. It's like a warrior three with your hands on the floor. Okay, so from here, inhale, lengthen your spine, try to get your right hip back. And then exhale, fold forward. Now we go to standing split. So you might bend your right knee more. If you feel confident with your fingertips on the floor, you might also try taking your now right arm, wrap it around the back of your right leg, hold on to the back of your ankle, pull up. From there, maybe you can lift your right leg higher, but I challenge you to keep your right toes, or left toes, excuse me, facing the floor. So you're lifting straight up behind you with your left leg. Yes. Last breath. Bend your right knee, bring your left toes to the ground. Right? Yes. We're all on the same side. Step your right foot back so that you end up in plank for just a moment here. Bring your feet together and spin to the pinky side edge of your left foot so you do a quick little Ashistasana here. Now with this Ashistasana, if you can, you're going to lift your right leg up. Good job. And then come back to plank. Inhale. Exhale, lower. Inhale, Cobra. Exhale, dog. Inhale, left leg up. Exhale, step forward. Inhale, high lunge. Exhale, warrior two. Inhale, reverse. Exhale, triangle. We pause for an inhale here. Exhale, both hands to the floor, look down, bend your front knee. Inhale, big push off that back foot. Ashistasana. Good, pause. Take a moment, you might bend your left knee, pull that left outer hip straight back. Lift from your right inner thigh. Inhale, lift your spine, lengthen your spine. Now exhale, fold over that left leg. Either keep your hands where they are, or walk your left hand backward on the back of your left ankle, wrap your forearm around your leg and lift up. Yeah, you're sort of like hugging, trying to hug that left leg in more. See if you can stretch up further from there. You can point or flex your feet. Last breath. Bend your left knee very slowly. Start to lower that right foot to the floor. And then step back. Plank, feet together. Inhale. Exhale, side plank to the right this time. Lift your left arm. If you've got your balance, you might try lifting that left leg up for a moment. Hold, breathe. Push down and forward with that right hand. Come back to plank. Inhale. Exhale, lower. Inhale, Cobra. Exhale, dog. Good. 3 deep breaths in downward facing dog. Inhale, bend your knees, look forward. Exhale, hop or step forward. Inhale, lift halfway up, look forward. Exhale, fold. Inhale, reach out and up as you stand up. Exhale, fold all the way down. Last little tiny mini sequence here. Definitely going to squish all the blood out of the turnips though. Inhale, lift halfway up, look forward. Exhale, step back to dog. Inhale, lift your right leg up behind you. Good, and then exhale, bring your right knee into your chest as you bring your shoulders forward over your wrist. Bring that knee over to the left. And then inhale, lift back up. Downward dog splits. Exhale, come forward. Bring the knee now out to the right. Good, inhale, come back up. Exhale, out to the left. This time, maybe you kick your foot out to the side a little bit. Good, inhale, come back up. Exhale, bring it out to the right. Maybe again, you kick your foot out for a sec. Come back up. Okay, this time we're gonna land it. Kick out to the left. Yep, and then lift your left arm. Bring your left hand down. Push back, standing split. Down dog split. Good, knee out to the right. Here's the kicker. Foot out. This is really weird. You're gonna bring your back knee down. Left knee down, good, and then push that heel out away from you more. So your pelvis comes maybe even down to the floor, yeah. Close. Good. There's our first splits-ish. Okay, now as we practice, you're gonna squeeze your inner thighs in to lift your hips, lift your right leg, bring your right foot down. Now left side, inhale, left leg up. Exhale, knee to chest, bring it over to the right. Inhale up, bent knee out to the left as you come forward. Yes, inhale up, tease in that straightened leg, but don't put it down. Up, teasing this time out to the left, but hover. Up. Is it a welcome thing to bring your foot down? I'm not sure if it's better or worse. You can lift your right arm. Yes. Come down, that's fallen triangle. Lift your leg. Good, and then this is just a really messed up version of splits pose. Back knee comes down, pelvis sort of relaxes toward the floor. Breathe. Put it down with your hands. Press into your fingertips. Lift your butt. Come on out. Lift that leg just for one final, I don't give a hoot. And then bring your foot down. Inhale, bend your knees, look forward. Exhale, hopper step forward. Inhale, lift halfway, look forward. Exhale, fold over your legs this time. Feet hip distance apart or wider. Hold onto your elbows. Core, wrists, a little break here. Breathe. So feel and notice your hamstrings and inner thighs at this point. Maybe you can even notice any shift that may have happened through your quads. There's lots of quad stretching. We're going to take our time here. Bring your hands to your hips. Squeeze your elbows in towards each other. Inhale, lift, halfway bend your knees. And then exhale, stand all the way. Okay. So you want 2 blocks. I'm going to demo this really quick. Okay, so it's just like runner's lunge to try for Hanuman. Because I have sensitive knees, I'm using the blanket. So say the right leg is back first. You use your blocks to make you feel safe. You wiggle that right foot back and then left foot forward. And you just keep going forward, back, until you get to the point where you're like, oh, well, maybe I can lower the blocks. And then if you can lower the blocks, maybe you can lower your hips. And then you might reach a point where you're like, maybe it's the blocks. And then possibly this is where you stay. Or wherever. It could be up here. It could be all the way up here.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. So you're just using the blocks to go back and forth. So little bit at a time as you go, that way you can really control. And then remember the feeling of like squeezing together will actually help you get lower because you won't be as, your nervous system won't be like, where's the safety? Yeah. Nice and slow, forward, back toes stay curled under too. Just because when we have the top of our foot on the floor, we're more likely to fall into that pattern of turning your leg out.
So tuck in.
So toes tucked under, yeah. And it's just microscopic, just a little bit here and there. Forward and back. And maybe someday you're not as afraid, and for some reason it makes you do the splits. That's what happened to me. And take another long, slow breath here on the side that you're on. So something interesting that can happen here, this is probably already naturally happening, your body wants to go forward. So that way your back leg can go further back. So we're gonna actually do that for a second. Walk your hands forward and do the forward bend at whatever capacity you have. So even if you are in the split, try to push your back heel down, back knee down, and squeeze them towards each other, even as you stretch. And slowly start to bring yourself out of the pose. And there's many ways to come out. Find your way. Find your escape route. And then take the second side when you're ready. If you need to do something else between sides, because it's pretty intense, feel free to do that. Got a little time here. And then do give yourself the grace of knowing that both sides are totally different. So don't expect the same thing. Don't expect to go all the way to the floor on both sides. It's like one of those poses, why even try to do the splits? I don't know. I don't really know, because it's fun, kind of. It's challenging for sure. It's a huge hamstring stretch and quadriceps stretch. By the way, you can only stretch one of your quads, and that is the one that passes both your knee and your hip joint. It's the most superficial one, the one right on top. Whew, but you can sure as heck stretch all of your inner thighs at the same time. Once you get to that spot where okay, it's not going any further, you can start trying for the forward bend, seeing how that feels. See where you get to. Notice all the things. And be kind to yourself. Take your last 2 breaths wherever you're at. And then start to make your way out of the pose. Find your seated position with your legs both stretched directly out in front of you. And if you have a blanket that you were using to pad your knee or something, use it underneath your butt. And then stretch your legs out in front of you. And we'll do a little wider variation here of seated forward bend, Hanumanasana. You're going to take your feet out as wide as your outer hips. And if you tend to have sort of narrow hips, then you're going to take your feet out wider than your hips. Okay, push your heels forward, pull your toes back, and then sit up as tall as you can, sort of toward the front of your sitting bones. Excuse me, inhale, reach up, look up. And then exhale, reach forward as you come down. Keep reaching forward, forward, forward until you know you can't come any further. Then put your hands on the floor, or if your hands are by your feet, grab your feet. Inhale, lift your chest, pull your spine forward. And then exhale, go ahead for the fold, let your head hang. Breathing slowly and deeply here as we start to cool down a little bit. As best you can, keep your legs engaged. Push your heels forward. Pull your toes back toward your shins. As you inhale, lift just your head. And then exhale, sit up. We're going to stay seated for one more pose. Bring the bottom of your feet together for Hanumanasana. Bring your heels as close to your groin as you can. Interlace your fingers around your toes or hold onto your ankles, whatever you prefer. Press your legs, thighs down toward the floor, but also think about sort of like growing or pushing your knees further out to the side. And then you have to try to keep that as you inhale, lift your chest up, look up. And then exhale, fold forward. As you fold, feel free to pull yourself forward. Start to feel that stretch in your lower back. Hopefully bring your shoulders away from your ears and then let your head hang. Breathe here. So if you can imagine bringing a full breath to the entire backside of your body. So as you inhale, filling up first your lower back, then your middle back, then your upper back. And then as you exhale, exhaling from your upper back, down through the middle to the bottom. On your next inhale, lift just your head. And then exhale, sit all the way up. Find one of your blocks. What? Do what? Find a block. I'm going to download this with the bolster. That's what I have.
Do a block.
No, this will be fine. Okay, so you're going to lay on your back with your knees bent, feet on the floor so you can lift your butt and slide the block or a bolster, if that's what you have, underneath your lower back. You might just have like blankets piled up too, folded over and piled up to make yourself a little lift. Okay. So this might already feel pretty good. We're gonna go more into like a hip flexor stretch. So if this is already feeling good and sort of intense for you, you might not need to go any further. Otherwise, you're gonna bring your right knee toward your chest. And once we start to move our legs, you might have to adjust yourself on whatever props you have underneath you to make yourself feel more steady. Interlace your fingers on the front of your right shin, and then kick your left foot forward so your left heel is hovering above the ground. And we kind of want that, the gravity. We want gravity to help us stretch our hip flexor here. So that leg just hovering above the ground is going to help out. It might feel good to bring some movement to the straight leg, kind of moving your leg in and out, or just stretch it straight ahead, whatever helps you to feel the stretch at the front of your hip. If you're not feeling much of anything, you could try to lift your hips even higher with more blocks, more blankets, more bolsters, whatever you've got. The average human, I would say, probably feels this just fine. Take another breath. And then begin to switch sides. Taking that left leg in and the right leg straight ahead of you to hover above the floor. Stretch your legs apart there. And then if it feels good to you, you might try moving your leg in and out, or just keep them stretching apart without movement. Do what feels good. Soften your face. Start to let your deep breathing go unless you need that. Okay, deep inhale and exhale here. You can let go of your left leg. You could go into a really nice passive back bend here. So stretch your left leg straight now, right along next to your right. And actually take your feet sort of apart. Like they might not even be on the mat anymore, but legs are straight. This is gonna put you in a fairly deep back bend. So if it's too much for you, you can lower your hips a little bit. Take some of the props out from underneath you. Otherwise, we're gonna be here for a few minutes. So do any bit of movement, wiggling that you need to do to get yourself comfortable and sturdy. Arms can rest at your sides with your palms up. Notice the parts of your body that are being held. Notice the shape that your body is in. Feel the props underneath you, feel the ground underneath you, the air around you. Hanuman is just one of those poses. Feels risky. Hanuman's whole business was risky business. So it's really cool posture, really embodying the spirit of that mythology. Hanuman was a monkey. His mother was the wind. Part of the ways that we stay adventurous and we stay willing to risk things is by also taking care of ourselves and making ourselves feel secure or safe, even within the risky business of our lives. Hanuman was known to take great leaps of faith, jumping to wherever he needed to go to do the thing that he needed to do, trusting always in his mission and in his pure intention. So if this is feeling good to you, you could stay here for the last minute. Otherwise, it might be nice, bend your knees, bring your feet to the floor, and just slide the prop out from underneath you, lay flat on your back in more of a traditional Shavasana for the last minute. Or like I said, stay up on your props if that feels good. Really starting to let your deep breathing go now.
Give the full weight of your body to the floor. Notice those places and parts of you that have a more difficult time letting go.
Those parts of you that want to keep protecting you, to keep you safe. Just say thank you, not now. Not for 1 minute. Starting to come back to your breath, your body. Maybe starting to make some slight movements if you're ready. Otherwise, laying still is fine. If you had an intention for today's class, besides all the intentions I put into it, you can start to think about those now. Just a little review can be nice. And trusting in the wisdom of your practice and the mysterious nature of how intentions work. Trust that it is as you say it is. When you feel ready, the next few breaths, come up to a comfortable seated position once again where you can sit tall. Or if you'd like, you can continue to lay down. If you are sitting up, tuck your chin just a little bit, lengthen the back of your neck. Notice your weight and your sitting bones begin to even it out. You can leave your hands on your thighs or bring them together in front of your heart. In honor of each other, in honor of yoga, in honor of the teachers that brought us yoga, and in honor of the indigenous people whose stolen land we practice on. Let's have our final Om. Take a deep inhale. Om.